myself or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of Elijah is inside of the conscientious, so I move with it.
So, tell me, here we are. I'm a slave master. You're my slaves. I spent 100 years beating up on you, your grandmama, your great-grandmama, making you work for nothing for me. Centuries after centuries. And then one day independence must come. I said, okay, fine, let's have independence. Let's sit down and talk about it. Here's how your independence gonna go, okay? Let me tell you. And now, independence is signed. We all happy. We shake hands. How sweet. All the land that I took from your family remains my land, of course. And now you out in the streets begging. You know what I'm gonna say? Look at this bum. What is wrong with him? These black folks can't do nothing for themselves. Here he is begging, begging, always begging. And we are so stupid. We won't even say, yeah, I'm begging because you stole my land. I'm begging because you killed my mother. I'm begging because you slaughtered my grandmother. I'm begging because you raped my sisters. That's why I'm begging. We're going to say, no, white man, you got to help us. Yeah, we're really in bad shape. You know why you can't give him the sense? You went to school, I hear. Your mama swept by the roadside, selling mangoes to send you to school, to send you to the best schools. Like my mother. My mother was living in a room, one room, saving every penny she made to send me to a school called Collège International Montpellier. After I finished secondary school, I had no idea. Hey, my mama said she's sending me to school. I went to school. But when I got to the school, you know what they taught in that school? They teach you how to drink whiskey, how to drink vodka, how to ride horses, how to play card games. And see, this is a school, because she didn't know. To her, it was a great school because it was in France, and in France, everything you learn is good for you. This is a school that children of barons and queens and whatever, who don't have any brains, who don't have anything to do, all they have to do is go and learn how to walk fancy, speak fancy, and drink up a storm without ever looking drunk. It's sad, but it's true. I spent a year, and there was no way I could explain to my mother, this year, where you sent me, I don't belong here. Anyway, to make a long story short, I went, did my year. At the end of the year, I have a diploma. Hey, I know how to drink vodka real good. I know how to dress up. I was forced to press my hair. I think it was 3 times a week I was supposed to press my hair because I was never supposed to have a kink anywhere. I must not be myself, you know. My hair was always to be pulled in a silky, slinky little whatever it was. Okay, I did it all until the last day. When the notes were all posted, I washed my hair with a lot of pleasure. And I blow it all out. Something like tonight. Probably it was much bigger because it was longer then. And I put an African outfit. Without lying, one of my teachers went to the hospital with an infarctus. And the man kept saying on the hospital bed, it is impossible. She was my best teacher. I invested so much in her. She can't revert like this. They worked hard to turn me into a white woman. It just didn't take. I was bad earth, bad soil.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, family. Yes, indeed. That was Professor Baino Bello. Welcome, 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 everybody, to another episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. And this is a special edition. We have another reparations candidate on the set tonight, Brother Christopher Leggett, who we're going to be bringing on in just a minute. But I just want to welcome everybody. Black First family. Peace, peace, peace to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all joining us. Make sure that you hit the like. Make sure that you hit the share. Make sure that you subscribe. For those of y'all that don't know, if you're joining us for the first time, I am the God, Sincere Love, here with my lovely co-host, Miss Nicety Girl, with her beautiful afro, just like the
Yeah.
professor, Baina Bello. What's going on? How you doing tonight, sis?
What's up, everybody? Peace, Black Power, and reparations, everybody.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's what type of time it is.
Yes, it
That's what
is.
type of time it is. What's going on, Cool Keezy? I see you in the building.
Listening
Reps, what's
all
going
check.
on? Crown 808, Jackson, Harlem.
Hey.
Peace to the RH. Everybody joining us today. We definitely appreciate y'all tapping in for another great episode of Sincere Love the Godcast. And so those are the primary particulars for
Yeah,
the evening. But before we bring our guest of the evening on tonight, um, there was a section out of Dr. Anderson's book that you wanted to read for the
I
family,
did.
right?
I did. So obviously, we've been last week as well as this week, a couple weeks ago, we've been having representatives on Marcel Dixon, who's running for South Carolina Senate seat against James
Congress.
Clyburn.
Congress.
Congress seat against James Clyburn, and now we have mayoral candidate Christopher Leggett here, and both of these gentlemen running on reparations platforms, and we will have future candidates on the show as well, and all who are running on reparations platforms, right? So Dr. Claude, since the 60s, 70s, before a lot of us were even born, has been, screaming this reparations thing, separating ourselves, not from other groups, but identifying ourselves as our own ethnic group, right? Um, Descendants of American slaves, freedmen, foundational Black Americans, whatever you want to call it. We are the only non-immigrant, right? And so there's a couple paragraphs that I wanted to read from his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, as you guys can see. If you don't have it, go get it. That's kind of where we are today, right? When we're talking to these different candidates, and we're trying to get political power, economic power, right? So that we can pass down generational wealth. So I just
Do me a
wanted to
favor.
read it.
Show the cover one more time.
Black
Black.
Labor, White Wealth, Dr. Claude Anderson,
Yes,
master teacher.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
All right. So I'm gonna be starting with, I believe this is chapter 8, becoming politically and economically competitive in America, and I'm gonna start at paragraph 2. All right. Throughout mankind's history, competitive struggles between ethnic and racial groups have regulated their populations and established a relative ranking of power among them. In power struggles, the strongest survive and prosper. The weak or non competitive groups disappear or live to serve the strong. Black America is approaching this threshold of the 21st century as a non competitive social economic disaster. I think we're already there. Then we're going to just jump over to his strategy on leadership. He states leaders are individuals who can induce others to cooperative, cooperatively work towards certain goals that represent the values and motivations of both the leaders and the followers. To fully understand the nature of leadership requires understanding the essence of power because leadership is a special form of power. The goal of forming new Black leadership is to acquire for Blacks in this lifetime economic justice, wealth, power, and equal enjoyment of the rewards and benefits of the American dream. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yes,
Again, this
indeed.
is about, you know, power, right? We're not going to get anywhere unless we have, political power, economic power, which we lack on any of those things. We have other groups, non-citizens that are here right now that have political power over us. They have economic power over us. They have, social economic power over us, like social power over us. They're so what's the word am I looking for? United, right? They don't do anything without the other. They support each other's businesses. They only spend with each other all the things that we need to grow as a community and gain power. And of course, the political aspect. We'll be talking about that with Brother Christopher Leggett.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That was a good portion that you picked right there from Dr. Anderson's book.
Yeah, y'all know I'll be
You
nervous.
Nah, we couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell. That was straight. That was straight right there. I was always the kid that didn't want to read out loud in class too.
And I always wanted
Like,
to.
like call somebody else.
No, I wanted to. I've always, it's so crazy how I am now versus when I was a kid. I wanted to.
But all right, so we ain't gonna hold y'all too long. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So let me let y'all know who we got coming on the show tonight. Mr. Christopher Leggett is Florida-born, Tampa raised. He is an audio engineer currently living in the city of Augusta, Georgia. Impoverished and democratically controlled, he wishes you to use independent critical thinking to change that. He is bringing a new Southern initiative to Georgia as a representative for the city of Augusta District One. And so, without further ado, family, I would love to introduce to you our guest for the evening, Mr. Christopher Leggett. Welcome to the GodCast, King.
Peace. How y'all doing, brother?
Peace.
How are
Doing
you?
good. Doing good. Um, can't see you that much. Can you lift it up just a little bit, so we can get you in? And there
There
you
you
go.
go. There you go.
Woo.
Right
There you go.
Cell phone issues.
It's
there.
all good,
No,
man. It's all
it was just
good.
position. It was just position.
Yeah, we live, man.
We
We live.
live.
Right, I got you.
But how you
I'm
doing
just gonna
tonight,
hold
brother?
my hand now.
Welcome to Sincere Love the Godcast, man. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us tonight.
I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So how I like to start off these shows, man. Like to get to know you a little bit. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So if you could just, give us a brief history, a little bit about your background, and lead us up into how you came to the decision that you needed to run for mayor of Augusta. So give us a little bit of background and then lead us up to what brought us here today.
Well, my background is mostly comprised of a musical background. As coming from Florida and dealing with different companies and dealing with different entrepreneurs. I saw that a long time ago as a basis in which a lot of people have different options in business when they want to either open it or when they want to do in case what I did was start a record company. So I just looked at it as a better entrepreneur base. When I came up here to the city of Augusta, I just came up here as basically to regroup and to see if there was any way that I could form a company here. But then I noticed something. Um, I noticed that a lot of businesses that they have here are afraid to expand due to the poverty problem that they have here. Now, I've been here for about 3 years now, and I have been waiting on a lot of different businesses to expand in order for me to be able to take opportunity of that and be able to expand on my audio engineering. And a lot of them just basically came to a standstill. So I kind of looked at the poverty problem and the poverty issue, and being as though in the past I have traveled across the country and I've seen the poverty issue, but it didn't really strike me as bad as to when I got here. And then I started realizing that, you know, in order for us to have a increase in investment in the city, we have to have a decrease of the poverty rate. So what made me decide to run for mayor was just the simple fact that it wasn't enough business here. And being as we have a town that's small, that looks to grow, and has a budget that is reasonable enough to do that per year, I knew that there was something wrong, but I couldn't figure it out until I did my research. But basically, the reason why I decided to run was because I just saw that our people were in a rut. I saw that a lot of businesses didn't want to expand. I saw that a lot of people didn't want to invest. And I saw that the people that were already here, the same problems that we have in America across the country of a one-sided investment towards a certain community is the same problem we have here, yet we are the majority. So when I looked at that, I just decided that enough was enough. So I just figured, hey, if nobody else is going to take the claim, I'll take the claim and I'll step up and do what I have to do.
Mhm. All right.
Okay.
All right. So who's the current mayor?
Hardy Davis Jr. Hardy Davis Jr. That was another issue that I had when I actually looked up the background of Hardy Davis Jr. and I saw that he got involved in uh, defrauding the city and using the city's budget credit card that they give him as mayor, and being able to go and make frivolous expenditures on that card and not notify the taxpayers of the city what he was doing with the budget. He had to get exposed on the news. So that's what drove me to say that, you know, I'm glad that he's not incumbent this year and that it's an open field. Any one of us have a chance to win. Um, that really brought a smile to my face. But his name is Hardy Davis Jr.
So
Those are
he's
some
been misappropriating funds with taxpayer dollars, and he wasn't immediately terminated with those
No,
findings.
no, he was not. No, he
this is
was
a
not.
this is a white man, obviously.
No,
Obviously.
he's black.
He's black.
What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We live in this city is a 57% black majority city, higher than Atlanta. Atlanta is at 51%. So we are basically the blackest city in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
But those are some pretty heavy accusations. Are there any receipts out there about that, or do you want to say allegedly?
No, there's receipts. It's actually a news report. That's how I found it. I discovered it. It was a news report on is it WFJBS, I believe, the station. And there's actually a news report of them reporting it. And it's also in the Augusta Chronicle newspaper.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So people could go check that out and look that up and see.
Yes, they can.
And how long has this guy been in office? Do you know how many terms he been in there?
He has 2 3-year terms. He's been in since 2004, I believe.
Wow.
No, not 4, 14.
14.
I'm sorry.
14. 14.
All right.
So,
And
Augusta, Georgia currently has a black face, right? In a 57% black city, and he's stealing money from his impoverished district and
Right.
doing nothing, you know, to make things better in his district. Let's talk about it.
yeah, for real.
Right. I mean, the district that I live in, District One, is 60% Democrat. And also it has a 60% labor force. So the reason why I talk so much about investment is because it's impoverished 27.7%. So if you look at the 30% of basically 114,000 people, the reason I came up with the 114,000 figure because that's 57% of the 200,000. And when you look at that 30,000 left that are unable to work because of impoverishment, that would be 27.7%. And you look at all who's left, which would be about 82,000 people. I just don't see how him doing what he did would really benefit him as an incumbent. I have two other opponents that I see that are somewhat of a issue as far as the support, but I don't really see them as leadership either. Now, in the city of Augusta, and which I'll get back to them in a minute, in the city of Augusta, right, the median male income is 26,000. The median female income is 21,000. Uh, I just feel as though it could be increased because of the fact that you have a city budget of $920 million coming into the city, right? And they only have about $27 million of that proposed next year as the budget that they want to give for housing and community projects, so to speak. So the majority of the budget is going towards infrastructure, government jobs, government facilities, and things of that nature. So the normal everyday life for the average citizen that's stuck in that impoverished district is going to stay the same. They don't plan on improving it whatsoever. So I just want to come along and really change that. I want to reroute the way those funds are distributed because of the fact that if that's the way it's going to be and the people don't see anything that's going to change, then whoever else is in competition as far as being the mayor, I really don't believe that they have a chance of improving the district whatsoever, not keeping the numbers the same.
Now, specifically, what are some of the top issues that you see facing the city of Augusta that would be at the very top of your agenda if and when you get elected mayor? And also the question I have about the mayor, because you mentioned District One. So, you know, how does that work as well? Are there different mayors in the city of Augusta, or would you be the mayor of the entire city? What does the District One have to do with anything?
Right, I would be the mayor of the entire city. District 1 is the poorest district in the city. Okay. District 1 is where you have the majority of our people in the city. Okay. When
so that's the black area, got you.
Right. And so when I say that I want to look to improve the poverty rate, basically what I'm saying, not improve it, but decrease it. What I'm basically saying to you is that everything is pushed towards the enriched side of the city. Everything, all of the legislation is pushed towards the bigger side of the city. None of it is reinvested where we are. Like, for instance, you have the James Brown Arena. You have the memorial statue in front of the James Brown Arena. Hardy Davis already approved for that stadium to be moved away. That would decrease jobs in that area. Then you also have a park called Dias Park that's in that same area. Dias Park is destitute. I wanted to contact the park director. I went to the office. I was unable to get a response from him, even though he was there that day, in order to fix that park, because that's the majority of where the black youth is located. He didn't want to speak on that issue. I went to go see the sheriff. The sheriff is also a black man, but I guess he was busy at the time. I was told by his security to call back and to speak to them at a later time. They called me back. The deputy sheriff, which is the deputy chief, which is Chief Clayton, called me back and said that he didn't want any involvement in speaking any type of politics. He felt as though it wasn't right for him to speak on those issues because it would, I guess, cause some type of public disturbance or something. None of these questions that I had for these people were personal questions, attacking questions. None of these questions were things that would put them in some type of personal issue. The only question I had for them was, when the current administration leaves and the new administration comes in, what is it that you would like to see improved in your area? That was the only question that I had for them. Everything else I did my own stats and my own digging for, but they didn't want to answer. So either A, I feel that they plan on building a bunch of projects. And when I say projects, I mean a bunch of they plan on spending a bunch of the city's budget around areas that don't involve the impoverished area of the city. And that's why they didn't want to speak with me, because they didn't want to tell me that directly to my face. Or B, I feel as though those issues that they know need to be fixed, they refuse to address, because if they did, they would get caught up in basically telling a lie and saying that they would be willing to fix it, and they are not. So I just see it as, like I said before, we need a complete change in the city. Everything that's pushed over towards the enriched districts, we can do the same in the impoverished districts and bring that leg up. I call it, the analogy I use is the four-legged coffee table. You can't sit at the four-legged coffee table with three legs and think you're gonna have a nice breakfast or whatever you have at the coffee table. So I just feel as though we need to prop that up on the other side, and we need to make more advantages towards improving the impoverished areas of the city.
So basically what I'm hearing is you plan on redirecting some of the resources to District One, where the majority of the Black people stay in the city of Augusta.
Right.
And because those other areas, it sounds like, are not really in need of some of these programs and stuff that they're currently trying to implement. So they're going to be just fine. And we can redirect some of these resources over here to that fourth leg that you're talking about, where it's actually needed. And that will help improve the overall standing of the city. It won't just help Black people, even though the Black people are being targeted specifically. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the most in need, but it would improve the city overall if Black people are in a better position to actually contribute to the city overall, right?
Right. Because also I'm looking for people to come from outside of the state as well that want to invest in the city, that want to grow their businesses, because foreigners do it all the time. They come from other countries, they come to America, they invest, they buy real estate, property, land, all type of stuff. And then they go and they make their surplus, and then they go back to their home countries, and then they do what they do. Same thing here. You all will be able to come from out of state, come in state, make an investment, and actually be able to enrich yourselves. If you choose to stay, it's great. If you choose to go back, it's fine. But you have to have a competitive force outside of just labor. Labor is to build the economy within the city, yes, but you also have to have entrepreneurship and investment to be able to expand it. So you don't just deal with strictly companies opened within the city. You have people that are able to come from outside of the city and still invest and still have a surplus in your economy. You can't just think the way we used to think. 9 to 5, go to school, get a nice income and we good. No, we have to expand on that now, because now you're dealing with a youth that advances twice as fast. You got youth that graduate from college at 14, 15 years old because they already had a mindset to think that far, which is one of the programs that I put in the Southern Initiative, was to build a youth center so they'll be able to have a predetermined career path, which means that they'll have a chance to learn about things like home health, herbal medicine, learn about military combat and training if they choose to, have an instructor to come from Fort Gordon to come and teach the children about weaponry, sciences, and things of that nature that you would use. So if they choose to go to the military, if they choose to go to the medical field, if they choose to go to if they choose to do agriculture, they'll already be pre-prepared for that. They won't have to wait until they get to high school and wait until they get to college to learn about something that could be learned at an early age. So therefore, we'll have a chance to compete. We don't even have a chance to compete right now. We have to go and be in debt just to get a chance to compete. That's not fair. Plus, you done pushed us back for all these generations, so you might as well, in my opinion, start them early so they'll have a head start at getting that career. Because when you look at other people of other ethnic backgrounds, when they go to private schools at a young age and learn these things to put them ahead of the game 10, 15 years before they get to college, nobody says anything. It's not unfair. It's not mistreating them. It's not it's not putting them in the career field too early. But if we decide to do it, If we want to make that call, then it's a disadvantagement somehow, and that it's going to ruin the economy. It's going to ruin the budget. We're not going to be able to spend like we used to spend on different programs because too much of it is going towards you all. Well, I don't see anybody else complaining when they do it for themselves. Why do they have to complain when we do it? We're supposed to be human beings. We're supposed to be playing this bipartisan game. Well, we're supposed to pick between both sides of the aisle. So why not? Why not go ahead and play fair on all four sides, north, south, east, and west? So when I open this program, that if I get a chance to open this program, that's exactly what I want to see. I want to see this youth program implemented on the north side, the south side, the east side, and the west side of the city. So therefore, all the children have a chance to get the right education that they would need to start a career path ahead of schedule. So therefore, nobody can look at it as an unfair advantage on either side of the board. If we're going to do it and we're going to be bipartisan, let's be bipartisan on both sides.
So how are the schools there doing, as far as resources in the current public schools, from elementary on up, as far as the resources getting into the school? And then also you mentioned, weaponry, and other things. What about STEM and trades, being brought back into the school as well? Have you thought about that? And also one more, summer job programs, because a lot of these kids, they want money, right? For the summertime, that can help mom and dad, buy their school clothes, whatever the case may be. Some summer youth programs starting maybe from 14 to 15 years old, where they can actually work, during that summertime and earn some change. That also keeps kids from getting into trouble.
True. Right now, I would say we're kind of at a disadvantage on resources because the budget for education has only increased about $1 million over a 2-year span. So, far as resources, I think we'll be kind of low. Would I like to start a program, a summer program to do those things? Yes, but they would have to up the budget because right now we're dealing with underpaid teachers. We're dealing with a lot of relocations of schools, plus you have COVID closing the schools. We do have to deal with a lot of indoor issues as far as who wants to participate to be able to teach at those type of programs, and also up in their educational budget before we are able to do that at this current time.
And so, being that there are so many black faces in high places in your city, and we see this in different cities around the country. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Baltimore comes to mind. A couple of other cities where you got black police chiefs, you got black mayors, you got you know what I'm saying?
Right.
City councilmen and all these people. What is it, in your opinion, that's taking place in Augusta that is stopping a lot of these black people from doing some of the things that you see as being the solutions to some of these problems, particularly for the black population out there? 57%, I think you said, black city. Why aren't some of these people doing some of these things already? Is there like a boule class out there?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Brother, I would believe so, but I would also say that I believe that picking between the Democratic and Republican issues is one. This is why I run as an independent, so I don't have to get my strings pulled by anybody. I see it as they have an agenda that they want to uphold, and the agenda that they want to uphold fits towards the decisions of that major party. The higher ups go on down until you get to the person making the decision, and as long as the decision looks bad on their part for the party, they won't implement it in projection of making our people the forefront of what's going on. Now, as far as them being black, putting a black face on white supremacy is something that has been happening for eons, as far as we concerned in this country. So I see it as their main focus is to get whatever incentives that they have and ensure that we don't move and keep us as a placeholder. A lot of them are following the Margaret Sanger strategy, which is get the clergy to hold these people at bay. Don't let them advance as best they can. Let's not give them the opportunities, because if we give them the opportunities, the people who already hold the highest income in the city will not reinvest in us as an individual. So we have to hold them off and hold them back and keep them from letting the floodgates go so we can get our crumbs off the table. That's all it is. Because, like I said earlier, if I would have got a chance to speak to Chief Roundtree, I think the conversation would have went a whole lot different. But instead, you sent Chief Clayton to me to give me an excuse as to why I'm not able to speak to him about something that affects the city. Now, I could have called the phone and been enraged about our brother that passed away, Jermaine Jones. He got tased to death, and he wasn't his case wasn't properly handled. I could have called and raged and yelled and screamed about that. I could have called and got enraged and screamed. Our little sister got assassinated by a drive-by shooting. Her name was Aubrey Anthony. Her mother wanted to attend the funeral, but her mother was already incarcerated, and they refused by Sheriff Roundtree's orders to let her go to her own child's funeral. I could have got enraged and screamed and yelled about that when I called, but I didn't. I called with a humble question in mind, and they decided not to answer. So there's people that want you all to not be who you know you can be had you had the same investment as everybody else. So my goal is to bring that investment to you any way that I possibly can.
So what's your strategy though? Right? Because you mentioned, running as an independent. Unfortunately, black are people, right? When they see vote blue no matter who. That's kind of been the political strategy that has worked against us for a very long time. We know that. But bad habits are take a while to break. So how is it that you're reaching the community? One, how do they know you exist? What I'm saying? Are you door to door? How do they know that this independent mayoral candidate Christopher Leggett is here to represent Black freedmen?
And yeah, that
Well,
was. Let me just piggyback on that too, because I kind of had the same similar question in mind as well too, because we like to when we invited you on the show, we try to find out as much as we can about whoever it is that we're going to be interviewing, and just looking you up. If I'm a person that's just trying to see more about you, like I heard about you through one of the Twitter spaces that Marcel Dixon was in. Shout out to Marcel Dixon. We had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. I heard about you on his platform, and we seen that you were running on the Reparations platform and all that. So okay, let me look more into this brother. But I just didn't see a whole lot out there. You know what I'm saying? As far as like a website, you know what I'm saying? You're very active on Twitter, but not on too many other social media platforms. So what are you doing to kind of make yourself known so people that know that you are in this race and what your agenda is, so that people who want to support something like what you have in mind can get behind you?
well, what I'm doing right now is I'm going around the local businesses in the city, and I'm talking to tire business, mechanic business owners. I'm talking to bar business owners. I'm talking to fire station men that work there. Not exactly the fire chief just yet, but he's next on my list to go pull up and see. I have an event to speak on the 12th, February the 12th at the Brigham Center. Um, I have a couple Zoom calls from a couple private investors that want to see exactly what the agenda is. I have not personally went door to door yet, but next month that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I'm waiting on my flyers and things to come in. Now, as far as the website, I didn't open a website for one specific reason. I didn't want to host a website waiting all of this time to get investment from other people in order to keep the website open. And I didn't want the website to close down and you all think that I may have quit, or I may have stopped, or I may have ran away, or whatever the case. Because as we all know, politics take money, it take time, and it take investment. So I'd rather meet the people face to face and go to these businesses and talk with these people face to face, versus have a hosting site that I have to pay for and hold open and hope that somebody feels like investing in me in order for me to be able to keep it open. So that all will be coming at a later date. But as of right now, my goal is visiting business owners, visiting people that like the Augusta golf course where they had our brother Lee Elder that passed away. I've been to that place. I've met with a couple of those people. As far as voter turnout, I believe it's going to come from that that initial gathering that we have on the 12th. I think that's going to increase because a lot of those venues that they have us booked to speak, they haven't even put any flyers in our neighborhood. They haven't even given us any type of uh merchandise where I could pass out from door to door to say, hey, I'm going to be speaking at this event, because they don't want you to come to the event. That's how deep it's going this year. It's not up to me to promote their venue. It's up to them to give me the stuff to promote their venue. I'm only speaking at the event. So I have to wait on them as far as merchandise or anything like that. But as far as support, you all can support as much as you can, as often as you can online, yes. But me personally, I'm actually going face to face and meeting with people. But door to door, as of right now, no, I don't have a door to door strategy. I just have a business to business strategy, because those are the people that are being affected the most as far as investment in the city. And then once I get my own personal money, my flyers and all of that together next month, when I start speaking, then I'll be doing the door to door strategy and things of that nature. Because I just announced the campaign on January the 1st, and I announced it shorthand because most people, they start a year in advance. I'm starting a couple months in advance. So I just feel as though my best strategy would be to go towards the big people first and work my way down to the people on the street last, because the people on the street, they know they know what's going on based on the reports that they already got in the local news, based on the reports that they already got of our brother being assassinated, and based on the reports that they already got of our little sister being assassinated. So they'll be next. But as of right now, I've just been focusing on those businesses and getting those people to understand that we got an election coming up where if you're not able to hire anybody, if you're not able to put those jobs out there for people to get, if you're not able to support these people on that local level, me giving them flyers right now at this current moment in time is going to make it look like hope for the helpless. And I don't want it to look like that. So I want to have these businesses firmly in support of a candidacy first. So when I come to these people on the street, they'll be able to say, hey, if he knows them and they're down with his cause, then I know that there's hope for us. And he's not just giving us a dream like everybody else has done, because I don't want to follow the traditional way. I don't want to do things the traditional way. I don't want to sell people a dream and say I'm running for mayor and this is what I have for you. And then when they look at who I've been talking to or where I've been, I haven't talked to any businesses. I haven't visited anybody. I'm just giving them some flyers and some posters and saying, believe in me, because that's what Stacey Abrams did. And when Stacey Abrams lost that governor's race and wasn't able to get her votes recounted, everybody stopped talking about Stacey Abrams. I don't want them to stop talking about me. I want them to see that I'm actually doing what I said I'm going to do.
And so, what about home ownership then in the area? Because I know, a lot of times, when you're talking about mayor and resources and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
some of those funds can be used for like first time home buyer programs, for people that live in Augusta, and
True.
even resources for people who may have fell behind due to COVID, right? What about, those people? I know the business part, right? Because you have to reach out to the small business owners because that's what keeps the economy, rolling outside of the big companies. But,
Mm-hmm.
home ownership is also important to, Black people, right? That's part of the American dream. That's also part of passing down generational wealth. What about those people as well?
As far as home ownership, We having a problem with that right now because they're looking at inflation rates rising. They just put an article about that on the news recently. Um, as far as home ownership, I'm looking to reinstate the Pride program, the same one that Marion Barry had in DC, and seeing if I can try to reach out across the city and improve the living conditions of those that are impoverished the most. As I told you before, you have 27.7% of our people completely destitute here out of 57%. So that's 31,000 people that have absolutely nothing. So what we're looking at now is trying to establish something for them first. Now, the people that already own the home, the biggest issue that they have is that they're not able to deal with the property taxes that come with it, which one of my opponents was the tax commissioner. His name is Stephen Kendrick. And he refuses to drop the property taxes down for those homeowners from the age of 62 down to maybe 50, cut them some type of slack, even though he knows that we going through COVID, we going through all of these trying times where people have to work from home. People don't have, like I said before, the expanded resource. Nobody's investing in the city. So we dealing with a major poverty problem and he's not trying to lower it. So that is one of the things that I'll be looking at his track record, where he has voted on in the past, what he has done to try to improve, and wherever he made his errors at, I'll be making my surplus at.
All right. Yeah, and so I think what my sister was trying to ask was, some type of outreach towards the homeowners the same way that you are doing with the business owners as well. And I understand, to a certain degree, I definitely understand the strategy that you just broke down for us. But I still want to say, and I understand that money is an issue, you know what I'm saying? But even, as a business owner, if you come into me to talk to me about, supporting your campaign and things of that nature, I'm probably going to want to see more. I'm going to want to be able to go log onto a website and read what your agenda is, be able to see what you plan on doing for the city that's going to benefit me, my family, my business, right? And so I just want to just tell you that there are resources out there and there are platforms out there that are very inexpensive and even free to put up like a one page that kind of just explains what your agenda is. And if you might not be aware of some of those things, we could talk about that behind the scenes. I could point you in the direction of where you can create something like that you don't really have to pay any money. You know what I'm saying? To have like a link tree or something that just got, a picture of you and it lays out what your agenda is. You know what I'm saying? So there are, like I said, inexpensive or free ways to kind of do that. And I just think that that's going to be something that's going to be important because, we can have a one-on-one conversation and I can hear what you're saying and it sounds good. But, when I go back and think about it later on, I want to be able to have something where I could go and read it and show it to my constituents, show it to my wife, you know what I'm saying, whoever else that I confide in before I make these type of decisions. I want to be able to show them, I had a conversation with this guy. Here goes his website. This is what he's all about. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So again, that's something. Yeah. And you're gonna need the young people to get behind you as well, because that's where the energy really comes from. You know what I'm saying? Once the young people start believing in you, they will get the word out. They will become your street team. They will become your promotional team automatically. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. A couple of things I wanted to ask you too. I want you to explain. Well, all right, let me go here first. Again, you're running on a reparations platform. What does reparations look like on a city level? And, what I'm saying, what is the power of a mayor, you know what I'm saying, in a particular city? You know what I'm saying? Like Augusta, like what is it that you can do? What would reparations look like for the Foundation of Black Americans that reside in Augusta, Georgia?
Far as a reparations program, I'm not too big on programs. What I look at is what are the needs of the people in the city and how best I can solve them. Because you have to look at reparations from a federal level. You can't look at it from a local level. You can only look at it as we have to have a traditional piece of legislation to disaggregate. We have to have a traditional piece of legislation to delineate. We have to have a traditional piece of legislation to see who's here legally and who's here illegally. Then you can go from there as far as reparation legislation. Now, seeing as we are in a 57.7 majority district and 31%, excuse me, my phone fell, 31% in poverty, what I see is we first got to get off the ground. Then once we get off the ground, we can make that type of determination, because you have, if I was to make a reparations policy as it is now and make it individually in the city, I would have to know who to target. I couldn't just target every single person black, because every single person black in the city is not from the city, nor is from America either. Because you have representatives that's in Payne College that's not what you would call ADOS, or not what you would call the correct lineage to receive it. So I can't just write black on the paper. I would have to literally do a serious dig and find out the who's who and the what's what to be able to receive that type of not receive, but being able to give out that type of legislation. Now, as far as what I know you could do, I know you can look up your genealogy and your history, and I know you can find that out on your own. But
Right.
that would have to be a program that we would have to get funded from them as well. And by me being the mayor and being in control of the budget, I would have to talk to the commissioners in the city and see if we can pull from the budget by cutting some of the other things in the budget that's frivolous spending, like the monuments that they have in the city that basically represent white supremacy, or some of the areas that they have that has a lot of funding going to it that it doesn't need that much funding. Like, as I said before, we have a $420 million out of the $920 million proposed is going towards infrastructure. But which infrastructure in the city doesn't need to be remodeled, renovated, rebuilt? We have to cut that money down. We have to make sure that our educational budget is right. We have to make sure that our home and community budget is right. The reparations that you're looking for is the resources, not the money. So you have to look at who has access to those resources, and how big can we expand those resources in order to rebuild the damage that we've occurred in the city and throughout history, period. Now, I can look at the monetary benefits of passing out reparations, but as I said, in order to do that, you have to know who specifically it's going to. You can't just, in my opinion, I'm saying, you can't just give it out to anybody that's black, because everybody that's black didn't go through what we went through. Everybody that's black doesn't have the same lineage that we have.
That's
Everybody
right.
that's in the city is not here legally because they're black. So you have to delineate, you have to find out who is who specifically that belongs to. So I would have to first come up with a bill in the city that gets rid of the clutter and finds out who's who. Then
I
from
agree
that
with that.
point, right. Then from that
My
point,
question is that what you plan on doing though? Is that part of your agenda? Those things that you're explaining that would need to be done. Is that what you plan on
yes,
doing once you get elected?
yes, yes.
Okay.
That's definitely a part of the agenda, yes. But you have to understand something. If I leave it as is and I don't clean up what's already messed up in the
Oh no,
city,
I
and I
understand that.
pass right, and I pass that same agenda at the beginning, and I don't look through or cipher through what's really going on in the city, then that would make it seem as if I passed it, but it didn't go to who it was supposed to go to. So I didn't pass it for the people who it was supposed to be passed for. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It
No, I
ain't as
understand.
simple as right. It ain't as simple as just give it out to anybody and everybody, because it's not for anybody and everybody. So that's why I was saying that I plan on breaking it into pieces in order to be able to give it to the people that it's supposed to go to, if that is the case, of which they are 100% transparent with me about who's here legally, not legally, who's here. I mean, who has the lineage transparent of their background, and being able to inform me of exactly what their history is, and exactly what their lineage is.
I think
And
what you
based
would have
on
to
that,
do,
then I can go that way.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I think what you would have to do is you would have to create a criteria for who qualifies. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like one of the sisters said in the chat down here somewhere. There's
You can
ways that
check
you could
their
people could check their
genealogy.
genealogy. They
Yeah.
can check the census and how they
True.
self-identify. So if you
That's
create
right.
that, you create those check marks, and then, you know, people will have to be able to show and prove who they are. It's not your job to go out and find how many actual people are foundational Black American, how many are illegal, how many, you know what I'm saying? It will be, you set the criteria for, okay, we're going to make this program, this reparations program, and these are the people that qualify for the resources that are in this package. The people who could check all of these marks are the ones who qualify for this package. You know what I'm saying? And that will cut down some of the work on your end. People will have to do their own due diligence to find out, you know, who they are, where they come from, and all of that to see if they actually qualify.
Right. And here in California, they do have same thing. The mayor has a reparations commission for the state of California to give reparations, of course. But they say ours is messed up, you know, and based off of what I've heard, he's talking about minorities, people of color. You know, our claim is different. We're the only people that were enslaved. We're the only people that built this country, you know, for free, you know. So there's just so much things. We're not talking about other oppressed people, because we do understand that others were oppressed, but no one has the exact same claim as foundational Black Americans, you know. Right. So they do, of course, like we have a commission, you know, where they're putting certain criteria, as Sincere said, you know, and ours here in California must be cleaned up right now. I can't even support it because it's ridiculous, it's crazy.
So one of the questions from the chat, being that Augusta is such a historic city, do the politics of Augusta affect how other cities in the nation vote and view politics?
In my opinion, no, because other cities are bigger. So they have more of a budget to work with. They have more of an opinion as far as how many people, as I said before, are in the city that are not from the city, that have, you know, prospered in some way. So no, I don't think that the way that Augusta moves is how the rest of the cities will move. But as I said earlier, and I've said in my own spaces on my Twitter account, that I believe that if we can set a blueprint here and we can have something to show that reparations works, that the nation will actually use it as a blueprint to change the way that they view politics in other cities. I do believe that.
Okay, now you did mention earlier that you said, you know, reparations is the resources and not the money. Can you explain? Can you explain? You know, what type of resources you're talking about? Like I said earlier, you know, I don't know myself exactly. You know, how much power a mayor actually has. I don't know. You know, do you have the ability to do land allotments and things of that nature? Like, what type of resources are you able to distribute specifically for people who qualify for the reparations?
Well, when I say resources, I mean, look at the basic necessities that you need in life. You need transportation, you need housing, okay? You need, women need healthcare products, men need healthcare products. You need access to different areas as far as roadways and bridges and all of that stuff. So when I say resources, I mean land. I mean being able to grow your own food on that land. Right now, pretty much as far as I know, every apartment complex in a majority Black area doesn't even allow you to have hydro or solar power legally. I mean, you have a lot of different resources that you can use that can expand your access to the money. So you're not just using the money just to go on a spending spree, but you're actually using it to expand your neighborhood, to expand some of the things that you have, so that you don't have to just operate from an individualistic standpoint. You can actually be beneficial to an entire community or an entire city if you choose to. I'm not saying you have to, because everybody makes their own decisions with their own money. But I'm just saying, the way I look at it from a group aspect. I see it as, do you want to have something that can be pretty much taken away by the raise of inflation, the raise of the cost of living, the raise of somebody else being in control of it? Or would you rather have something where you in immediate control of it as soon as you obtain it, and then use the money or the monetary gain on the back end to maintain it, keep it, maintenance it, make it efficient so that if you pass away, you can pass it down to your family and it won't have to be eminent domainly taken from you and things of that nature. So the reason why I say resource and not necessarily the money, I'm not saying that because I don't see direct cash payments as a benefit or advantage, because I do. There's a great benefit and advantage to it. But if you are to maintain control, and that's my big thing, control of what you have, you're going to have ownership of the resource itself over just the monetary gain. The monetary gain is beneficial for maintenance, but ownership of the resource is what keeps you in control.
So, but resources also can help you invest in your own, communities and your own businesses as well. There's a lot
True.
of people that, have great ideas, but the only thing holding them back is the money, right? Great ideas, but can't get it off the ground because one, we're not first in line to get any of the loans. Remember when the PPP loans came out, Black people
True.
weren't at the top of the list. They were the first ones denied. So a lot of this is, access to the funds in order to build what it is that you're trying to build for your family as well as your community. So
Right.
resources is going to be at the top of it. Money, monetary, payments, because I can't do anything without money.
And I guess I'm
And but
still a
I
little bit
understand what you're
confused.
saying too with the
Well,
power
I
part.
answer. Well, okay, I'll make it more simple for you then. When I said open up the youth center, right? I said open up the youth center with grants. Grants come from the United States government. The grants that I use for that center is paying for that center. Now, if I was an official and I was to say, well, I'm not going to give you any more grants from the United States government, but I'm going to give you reparations, and I want y'all to pay for your center. Are you going to run out of money for paying for your center first, or are you going to take those grants and then later on at a later date, when you are offered the reparations payment, you're going to maintain the center? You would rather the assistance from the government because that's going to help you to maintain it longer than for you to pay for it yourself because of the cost of inflation, the rising cost of inflation. You're also dealing with over taxation at this point. I ain't gonna even say taxation, over taxation at this point. And you also dealing with the fact that if we are to have any type of economic crash, anything that where monetary value is decreased, and all I left you with was the monetary, and they changed the way that the rules go because you're not in control of your resources, it's going to cause you to lose more in the end. So the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying is not because I'm saying don't give it to you. You have worked for decades on the reparations cases, from Claude Anderson to Leonard Jeffries to others, Amos Wilson, all of them. Not saying not give it to you, but I'm just saying risk versus reward. That's all I'm saying. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers because I get
Yeah.
everybody have to pay bills.
Oh, now we're
But
gonna have
I'm
to
just
ruffle some
saying,
feathers. We're gonna have to ruffle some feathers. Ain't no
I'm just
way.
saying
None of this is gonna
that
get
if it
done
was
without
me,
ruffling no feathers.
I'm
Right.
just saying if it was me, I'd rather control my resource, because if they change anything with the monetary policy and all I leave you with is monetary and don't give you no resource, and they decide to change it, we up the creek. And we already up the creek now. So I don't want us to stay up the creek. I want us to go the other way. So I'm just speaking for myself.
I
I'd rather control the resources. But I get where y'all coming from with the direct cash payments, because that would lower the poverty rate immediately. That would give y'all the benefit and the option of going off and buying your own stuff and doing everything now. I get that all day long. I understand that because I live in the majority impoverished district in the city. So I understand everything you're saying. You're not losing me. I'm just saying, as far as the ability for the government to step in and to give you something that you can keep, that assures that you control, is more powerful to me than something that can be changed due to an imbalance of the Federal Reserve, which ain't federal, an imbalance of the system, which is already controlled by the stock market in certain ways, and an influx of rules and guidelines that we don't even know some people in some back room may make up and change. So yeah, I would be in favor of direct cash payments, but we also got to have control of those resources, in my opinion.
Right. So what about Black homelessness in your district or in that area, right? Because
ask that question again.
Black homelessness, right? Because reparations will also mean land, right? Because there's so much land that has also been stolen from us. It's cash payments, direct. It's land. It's tax exemptions. It's federal protections. It's all kind of things that we're looking for. You know, reparations. You know, it falls under a umbrella of
everything that we're talking about. It's everything that we're talking about.
Right.
But
you know, so
this is what I'm saying though. I really don't understand the limitations of a mayor. You know what I'm saying? We're still talking about on a city level. We're still talking about on a city level. So we can't include federal protections and all of that because you know what I'm saying, this is not a federal seat that he's running for. True. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about running for mayor of a city. And so that's what I was trying to get clear on earlier, exactly. You know, how much power does a mayor have and what actually can be done with that power? You know what I'm saying? As far as allocating resources, are cash payments something that's possible for a mayor to put forward? Is land allotment something that's possible for a mayor to put forward? Is class protection for the citizens of the city? You know what I'm saying? Tax exemptions or things of that nature. Is that something that's even possible for a mayor to do? That's what
alone, no. Alone, no. It would take the work of the commission to help with that, because they are in charge of putting forth projects in the city. So if I decide, as I said before, with something small as the youth center to build, and actually, by the way, I want to say something about that youth center. I actually want to flip the percentages around, same way the YMCA flipped the percentages around. And instead of it being funded 63% by the people and 31% by the government in grants, actually flip it and have it funded 63% by the government in grants and 31% by the people. So that way low income people could afford to come to the center and get the same education and things like that of what you would get in other high class neighborhoods. But as far as us getting help to do that, yeah, we would have to have help to do that. I wouldn't be able to make that same decision on my own, no, because there's other people that would have to come to the decision of actually accepting that kind of project. So let's say you want land allotment. Well, you'll have to go to the commission because the commission talk to the surveyors of the land in the city. And you'll have to figure out, you know, what percentage belongs to who, where the line's going to be drawn at for the property, all of those things. You'll have to go through them.
How do the commissioners the commissioners get in paid? Are they elected? Are they chosen by the mayor? Who decides who get those jobs?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the city commission. I mean the city council. Because the city council have a lot to do with getting them elected as well.
Okay, so that's a good question. Crown 808. She says, so the mayor's office is ran by the commission?
No, the mayor's office is not ran by the commission. The mayor's office would need the help of the commission in order to make a citywide decision because they're responsible for the projects in the city. That's just like if I decide to build a youth center, I would have to go through the commission in order to get the proper, find out if the buildings that's already been used are still usable. Would I have to renovate them, rebuild them, things of that nature? Just like the James Brown Arena, that's the reason it's being moved, because the commission is deciding where it's going to be placed at in the city. It's not the mayor co-signed the budget for it, yes, but the mayor doesn't decide where it's going to be placed. The commission does.
I understand what you're saying, brother. Well, only thing the reason why I'm kind of sticking on this point right here is because, you know, if we're running on a reparations platform, we want to make sure that reparations can actually be done. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to vote for you because you're saying, you know, I'm the reparations candidate, you know what I'm saying? What does that mean for me? You know what I'm saying? What are these reparations going to look like after you get elected? Now you're going to tell me you can't do the reparations because the commission is not down with it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to tell me you can't do reparations because you don't have the cooperation of the city council.
Well, when you say
I voted for you to
reparations,
get this done.
well, when you say reparations, look at it from the federal aspect. It's the same thing. I can be the president and say I'm for reparations, but if I go to the Congress and the Congress don't approve of it with 2/3 vote, they're not going to pass it. So it's the same thing with the city. I can say I'm for reparations, but if the commission doesn't approve for the project because the project is they don't have the budget, or is certain things that we want to build that they don't have access to at this time because it's already being used for something else, or if we just don't have the city budget at all to be able to pay you enough based upon what I co-signed, then we'll have to reconvene and draw it over again. It's the same thing with dealing with immigration. I can say I'm not for immigrants being in the city that are here illegally, but if we don't have the budget to go and do a study or do some type of research to find out who is immigrated in the city and who's not, then no, I can't just push past them and approve it, because as I said before, then you wind up with people getting it who not supposed to. Then you wind up just like with the American Infrastructure Bill, same thing. When they signed off on it, they allow a lot of people from a lot of different groups to get a lot of things that had nothing to do with American infrastructure. That's why you ended up with a lot of businesses getting PPP loans that wasn't supposed to get them. It's the same thing. You have to be careful and precise when you talking about something that's such as reparations. That's a serious topic like that. You have to ensure that the right people is getting.
I can understand that for sure, and I definitely know that, you know. Well, that's why I was trying to get to the heart of the matter of what a mayor could actually do and what a mayor can't do, and what the process will actually have to be. My only thing is, as long as you beating the drum for reparations, if you're running on a reparations campaign, and once you get in office and you doing everything you can to push these reparations, and it doesn't get through, then I could live with that. You know what I'm saying? But
True.
if you the person that I voted for because I thought you were going to be pushing reparations, and then all you have for me is excuses of why you can't get it done, then you know I feel like I got cheated. I feel like
Which I understand
I've been
that.
hoodwinked.
I understand that.
So like I agree with the brother in the chat. Will Castro said, as long as you trying, you know what I'm saying, I can't be mad at you. Try again, but at least you tried, and we all trying together, because we're going to be galvanized behind you to say, yeah, we with the mayor. We agree with what the mayor is saying. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have the people behind you. It ain't just going to be you. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Because
I have
with the budget that you said already, with the funds that are being misappropriated because they're already going to communities that don't need it, right?
Thank you.
So it's really, once you say in there, readjusting where those, resources are going, because what you're going to do is redirect those maldistributed funds right to where it is needed.
True.
And so that right there will help a lot of the problem as well, because now that the funds are being redirected to where it's needed, meaning to that 57%, that's going to help with a lot of the problem. And then also once that part is done, then we can start saying, okay, we've cleaned this part up. Now, next phase is, direct cash payments, or, land, or whatever the case may be, to this 57% of Black people here, that built this country. Right. So I think it's more, obviously you getting in and redirecting those maldistributed resources, because it's obviously going somewhere that it's not even needed as much.
Right.
So what is the Southern Initiative? Define that for us and explain.
The Southern Initiative, basically, as I said before, was the youth center. Also, I have something called a Pump Pass program that I want to initiate. Well, basically, a percentage of all other businesses that's in the community that are foreign, at the end of the year, a percentage of their income goes towards the neighborhood that they're basically taking advantage of for their income. So what I would like to do with that is get a reinvestment back into those communities, which would be immediate. Those investments would basically cut down some of the cost of what the community has to endure while waiting on things like reparations, resources to be redistributed, things of that nature. And also those foreign businesses that take advantage of those communities, usually from what I've seen in my own experience, they take advantage of the community by overtaxation of the products that they sell in the community. So a lot of that money is not being reported. A lot of that money is not being reported on their taxes. A lot of that money is not being allocated back to that community for anything that would benefit the community whatsoever. So my whole thing is, if I could somehow take a percentage of that and put it back into the community, I believe that would alleviate some of the stress and some of the breakdowns of what's going on while we in this fight and we're waiting for these things to happen or occur. And also the last part of the Southern Initiative was to audit or break down the city in places that need to be audited. The police department needs to be audited. The housing program needs to be audited. The some of the real estate agencies in the communities need to be audited, because a lot of them are taking it to our people disproportionately when it comes to mortgage rates and things of that nature. So I feel like they need to be audited. And all of these funds to do these type of things can come from cutting budgets in places where they need to be cut in order to make those changes. I'm not saying that we have to break the city in order to have these things done, but there's a lot of funds going to a lot of places, I say it again, that are not necessary for the city to be a success. And if we can get a hold of those budgets and put them in the right places, we can do these things. And that'll cut down a lot of the poverty. That'll cut down a lot of the dysfunction that we have. And that'll cut down a lot of the crooked people that are in those departments that are stopping some of the flow of some of these things happening. Because you have to remember, these places where we're asking for all these things to occur are corrupt. So if you don't get rid of the corruption, and you give everybody the incentive to try to come up in these same places, you just gonna end up with a bigger mess. So you got to get some of these corrupt people out of here as well, not just the living situation or the living standard, but you also have to get rid of those people that wish to do y'all harm in the first
All right.
Well, it seems like the black people voted for this black face. People are blinded by the black face as well. Like you say, you have a black sheriff, or you currently have a black mayor that was already caught, misappropriating funds already. So it should be, they should really want to quickly get rid of him, because he's already deemed himself untrustworthy, right? At this point. So what black people in your district right now is looking for someone that's transparent, that they feel that they can trust and get behind, and that will truly work for the people in which he says that he or she is there to represent. But getting that other dude out with everything that has gone on, it wouldn't be wise to keep him in. But I can also see people saying, well, if all I'm going to do is vote for another black face that's going to do nothing, what's the point? We ain't getting nothing anyway.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
For sure. And that's the reason. That's the reason why we're going through this process. Like I said, you know what I'm saying? We see ourselves using this platform as a vetting process for candidates like yourself, so that the people have a chance to hear from you, see what it is that you plan on doing if you get elected, and you know what I'm saying, see if it's something that people want to get behind and support.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get ready to wind this thing down a little bit, man. So is there anything that we didn't ask that is important that you want to put out there for the family? Anything that you could think of that, people definitely need to know going forward, especially people that are in your area. You know what I'm saying? People that are able to actually cast their votes, or people that's outside the area, different ways that they can support you as well.
There you go. You did. You just struck my brain when you said that.
There you go.
Voting polls. In current District 1, you have 13 voting polls. In District 2, you have 8 polls. In District 3, you have 6 polls. In District 4, you have 10 polls. In District 5, you have 7 polls. In District 6, you have 6 polls. And in I said 6. In District 8, you have 10 polls. So when you are going to these polls and you go into these polls to vote, the reason why I believe you should cast your vote for me is, number one, I'm not loyal to either party. I'm independent. So I'm not controlled by the puppets and the strings and the corporate donors or none of that. Number two, I already have the relative experience in the impoverished district. So I already see the problems physically versus somebody telling them to me. And I live in another city, as Mayor Hardy does in Hezepath, and doesn't even live in the city. So he's not even connected to the community. All his backers and all his donors are corporate donors. So I already see the problems firsthand. Number three, I am a people person. I come and I talk to people face to face. I don't deal with the celebrity part of politics. I don't deal with the jester part of politics, playing songs on pianos and jumping and shouting and dancing and singing and going to churches like Andrew Yang did and singing with black choirs and all of that stuff just to try to get y'all to vote for me. I don't deal with none of that. I got one mission and one mission in mind, to go in and to do what I said I'm going to do. Now, the people who I have to work with are going to be held, because I know that they don't agree with you all getting anything whatsoever, and they don't agree with you all being united, thinking on one page, being on one accord, or nothing. So I know how they feel about you all. When I made my campaign slogan, I said, not me, but we, for a reason, because it's not me that's going to do anything. It's us as a collective that's going to do it. So everybody has to take the incentive and stand up, and we all as one can kick the door in and get this thing done. I planned on doing this within 1 year and getting all of the people not rallied behind me, but rallied behind the message and the purpose and the goal. I felt like if I came in and I was more serious and more militant in getting it done and not doing the same gestures and the same provocative shucking and jiving that everybody else is doing, then people will understand that I was more serious. So that's the reason why you don't see me really doing too much in the public eye, as I said before, clownish behavior and participating in things that I know for a fact that have worked in the past for bigger candidates than myself. But when they got in, they did exactly the opposite of what you all are trying to accomplish. So when you go and you cast that vote, which it should be in July because the primaries is in May, when you go and cast that vote, the reason why I'm asking you all to cast that vote for me is because my only goal is reallocating the funds back to you all. I don't have any other goals personally set for myself in office to achieve some type of relationship with corporate people or whatever. I don't care about none of that. I only care about getting the job done. So my biggest thing that I wanted people to understand about me was getting the business done. Everything else, the theatrics and all of that, February the 12th, when I step on the stage, you'll see what type of theatrics, if you want to call it that I'll be doing. Other than that, I would ask the people to show up. Voter turnout is everything. If you watching this and you in Georgia and you know people in the city of Augusta, tell them to show up. If you watching this and you know people in the city of Augusta that can help with the campaign, that can help with donations, that can help with me being able to meet the right type of people that are in already what you would call community organizers or people who are already doing the work, have them meet me. I'll show up.
Where? So
But
February 12th,
go
where is
ahead.
this going to be? Is there an address? I'm sorry, is there an
At the
address?
Brigham Center in
Okay.
Augusta, Georgia. At the Brigham Center in Augusta, Georgia.
And the times?
What time and all of that stuff?
9 in the morning, 9 a.m.
So 9 a.m. at the Brigham Center in Augusta, Georgia.
Right.
And this is being put on by who?
It's being put on by Rick Scott. He's the governor. He used to be the governor in Florida, I believe, or he may still be.
In Florida?
Right.
Okay. Okay.
All
So, all right. We're gonna end this thing like we always end it.
right. I'm going to ask my final question before we check out of here for the night. What does freedom mean to Christopher Leggett?
Freedom means control of your own destiny. As Brother Malcolm said, it's not when you ride on the bus, it's when you have your own bus. So I feel as though freedom is just independence itself. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing now independently, because I believe freedom is the control of your destiny, not just the purpose of it.
Mm.
Yes,
All
indeed. And
right.
so this is the
Yes,
part.
indeed.
This is the part, brother, where I put you on the spot. And so right now you have the microphone. The entire Black community, not just in Augusta, but the entire Black community, can hear what it is that you have to say. What message do you want to leave us all with tonight before we get out of here?
The message I leave to the Black community is simple. Take the initiative and stand up wherever you are, any way that you can, any from any level. It doesn't matter if you're impoverished or not. Stand wherever you can and fight. Don't be afraid to stand up and tell the people what you know is right, and do what you have to do to make that dream a reality.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yes,
indeed.
indeed.
And once again, family, that's February 12th at the Brickham Center in Augusta, Georgia at 9 a.m. If you guys are in the city, be there so you can hear more about brother's plans for the city moving forward, how you can get involved, how you can support, things of that nature. Right? And
Absolutely.
so,
One more thing, is that going to be broadcast live? Is that going to be streamed on any type
oh yeah.
of platform, or will that just be, you have to show up to see what's going on? Will that be broadcast on any?
I'm not sure. This is what I was telling you about the information that they gave me. They called me on the telephone. They told me, they said, show up to the Brigham Center at 9 a.m. We're going to let you guys debate. And that was it. I didn't get any
Oh,
flyers.
it's a
I
it's
didn't
a
get
debate.
any. Yeah, it's a debate. Yeah.
Oh, it's a debate.
So it
All
should be
right.
streamed live. Yeah, it should
So
be streamed live.
well, what you need to do, brother, is whoever you could bring with you need to make sure that they got their phone and they streaming live.
Mm-hmm.
You
True.
know what I'm saying?
True.
Document
Oh,
your
I have a crew. I have a
Yeah.
crew with me.
So make sure
That's
everybody got their phones and make sure that they go live and tag the family. Tag
Yeah,
us so we could be aware and we could tap in.
you can tap in.
true. True.
Get people out there to see what's going on, because you can't
Got to
rely
get you on
on,
your social media game, brother. Got to get you on
yeah,
your
you
social
got
media
to.
game. It's got to get you on your digital real estate game. You know what I'm saying? Because the people, this is where the people are. You know what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
respect the
Young
door to
people.
door thing. I respect you, chopping it up with the business owners in your city and all that. All of that is very important. But this is where the people are. You know what I'm saying? This is the age that we're living in, and we about to be into the metaverse. So you can't
Yes.
get left all the way in the stone ages. You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't never gonna get you to the mayor's office operating on that type of frequency. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So holla at me, you know what I'm saying, behind the scenes in the DM, man. If it's anything that any information that I could help with as far as, helping you grow on social media and things of that nature, I do know a little trick or two. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, brother. So let people know where they can find you at on Twitter.
All social media is Leggett for mayor except for Twitter. Twitter is Mayor Leggett. I have the donation link for Donor Box on my Twitter page. Also, I have cash tag for Cash App Leggett for mayor, which is the number 4, and also I have PayPal Leggett for mayor with the number 4. So you all can reach out to that if you choose to contribute. If not, you can also look at my YouTube, which has my full name on it, Christopher Leggett, and see some of the teachings that I had out on YouTube in the past, and also some of the teachings I'll be putting out in the future based
Okay.
on my experiences in doing this. Also, Well, no, that's it. That's all the social media that I have. But also the event, I have my own crew out. So once I get that recorded, in case they try to, cut in my words or make it seem like I said something I didn't say, or cut my stuff short, you'll be able to see whatever they didn't show. So
Absolutely.
I have a backup for that, and that's pretty much it, brother.
Absolutely. All right, family. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff. We did a good job building this country. Let us get paid for it. Absolutely. Will cash grow. I absolutely agree with y'all. Appreciate everybody engaging in the chat. Some of y'all is a hot mess, but we appreciate y'all as well.
Yeah, I know. I see them.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, family, that does it for today's episode of Sincere Love the GodCast. Make sure that you guys are following me. I'm at Sincere Love the God on all social media platforms. Make sure that you are following my co-host over here. She is at Nicety Girl #1 on Instagram, and without the #1 on all other social media platforms. Be sure to tune in tomorrow at the same time, 8 p.m. We have another episode of the Black Business Showcase. And I forgot who's coming on, but we got
Kavanaugh. I don't know how to say his last name. Kavanaugh.
Oh, Kavanaugh. And I'm not sure about the last name. I ain't gonna jack the brother's last name up. But yeah, we got another good episode coming up for y'all tomorrow. So make sure y'all tap in with us for that as well. And let me throw this up on here before we get up out of here too. Appreciate that, Jackson. And yeah, family, like I always remind y'all, we are not the master teachers. We are only the master students and signal boosters for the voices of the new Black media. Appreciate y'all tapping in with us on another episode of the GodCast. See y'all tomorrow.
All right. Well, Brother Leggett, I would like to thank you for tapping in with us and, letting us know, what it is that you're doing, how we can reach out to you, and how our supporters as well as ourselves can support you. And good luck with your candidacy. And also this debate where we will continue to, follow up with you and tap in with you. Thank you for everyone who tapped in with us tonight. And again, we'll be here tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the Black Business Showcase. Love you guys. Peace. Good night.
Peace.
Do for self or suffer the consequences. The wisdom of a